Hi everyone, and welcome back to Algebra 2. I'm Mrs. Stillwell, and I'll be covering our lesson for today. Our lesson today is going to be on the unit circle. Please remember the rules of note-taking. If you see it on your screen, you should be writing it down in your notes. Some of you printed out the notes ahead of time, which will allow you to just watch and work through the examples and U-tries. Feel free to add things in your own words so they're easier to study later on. Don't forget to hit pause and replay as often as you need to. This is especially true during the examples and the U-try problems. You will need good notes to study from this year and as a review when you take pre-calculus next year. Okay, here we go. Today we will be tackling the unit circle. Now the unit circle is nothing more than a memory help to figure out what values are. And a unit circle looks like this. I know that's ginormous. And you have one to be printed out for yourself, included in these notes. Before we actually start working on these, let's take a moment to remind ourselves of a couple of things. First of all, our learning target today is to use trig ratios to find missing sides of a triangle and special right triangles. Now the unit circle isn't something you have to memorize. However, it is a memory trick to help you remember the most common trig values that we have. The definition of a unit circle is a circle with a radius of 1. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing special about it. The purpose of a unit circle. Unit circles provide another way to help you remember the most common trigonometric values. This is especially important when you can't use a calculator or when your answer has to be exact. A couple of reminders before we get started. First reminder, these are things that you've already covered. Sine of theta is the opposite over the hypotenuse, or y over r. Cosine is the adjacent over hypotenuse, or x over r. Tangent theta is the opposite over the adjacent, or y over x. Cosecant is the reciprocal of this, so you just have to flip it over. Secant is the reciprocal of this, so you just have to flip it over. And cotangent is the reciprocal of this, so again, you just have to flip it over. Now you've already had all of these. I am just reminding you about what you already know, but you will need those things in order to be able to master the unit circle. A couple of other things that you need to remember are your special triangles. You have already learned a 30-60-90 triangle and a 45-45-90 triangle. Across from the 30 degrees is always a side of 1/2 in every unit circle. Across from the 60 degrees is always root 3 over 2, again in a unit circle. And the hypotenuse is 1, of course, because it's a unit circle, so the radius would be 1. A 45-45-90 triangle. Across from every 45 degree angle is a root 2 over 2 side. And again, the hypotenuse is 1. This is not new. I am just reminding you about it. Changing degrees into radians. You multiply by pi over 180. You're going to have to do this in your unit circle, so I wanted you to remember. Please do not forget to reduce your answers. For those of you who were not aware, your calculators have a function that will allow you to reduce on there. So if I have, for example, 25 over 80, hopefully you guys can see that. There we go. 25 over 80, and if I hit enter, it will change it to a decimal. Not a problem. You are going to push mode. Oop, I take that back. You are going to push math, the math button, which is right there on your calculator. And when you push the math button, you're going to push 1 for fraction. And it will turn your answer into a fraction for you. The fraction is 5/16. Again, that is just for those of you who would like to be able to reduce fractions on your calculator. Again, you push the button that says Math, and then you push the number 1, and that will give you a fraction that is in lowest terms. Okay, now we are going to go about creating our unit circle. So if you would please get out the unit circle that I have given you and be ready to go. We are going to fill out our unit circles in degrees and radians, so this is step 1. Our degrees are going to continue all the way around the circle, and they'll start with 0. Add 30, add 15, add 15, add 30, add 30, add 15, add 15, add 30, add 30, add 15, add 15, all the way around the circle, and those are going to be the degrees that you need. Now, these are the most commonly used trigonometric degrees. To change them into radians, because we need both degrees and we need radians in our unit circle, you simply multiply your degrees by 180. I reminded you about that already. And reduce. I have done the first set of them for you. 0 times pi over 180 is 0 pi over 180, which is 0. 30 degrees times pi over 180 reduces to pi over 6, and so forth. And again, I did the first half of the circle for you in reducing. You are going to have to continue and do all of the rest. Please do that now. Pause your camera, or excuse me, pause the video and do that now. Remember, 0, 30, add 15, add 15, add 30, add 30, add 15, add 15. So pause and do that now. Come back when you're finished. Okay, now you're finished with filling out all of the degrees and all of the radians. We're going to put them on your unit circle. Now, I am only going to do the first quadrant for you. You need to fill out the rest of them for yourself. This, by the way, will be your homework, is to finish this entire thing. So let's write down what we have so far. We have 0 radians and we have 2 pi radians, which is 0 degrees and 360 degrees. Next we have pi over 6 radians, which is 30 degrees. We have pi over 4 radians, which is 45 degrees. We have pi over 3 radians, which is 60 degrees. And we have pi over 2 radians, which is 90 degrees. Now you are going to finish the rest of them, so of course the next one would be 120 degrees, which is 2 pi over 3. And keep going around until you finish the entire circle. Okay, right now, if you will please pause your video, go ahead and finish filling out your complete unit circle all the way around with the numbers that you already created. When you get to the end, so you have all the radians and all the degrees filled out, start your video again. Okay, welcome back. You should now have a You should now have a unit circle that has all of the degrees and all of the radians filled in. Step 2, after you finish doing that, is we're going to fill in the points on the x and y axis because they're the easiest. Now remember, this is a unit circle, which means it's a 1 radius, so 1 in every single direction. So we're going to take these 4 points and we're going to fill them into our unit circle. Again, I will start in the first quadrant, and then you will finish the rest of them. So our first point is 1, 0. Our next point is 0, 1. We have an additional point here and an additional point here. Please finish filling those out. So pause your video, finish filling out those last 2 points, and then come back. Welcome back. You now have all of your degrees, all of your radians, and 4 points filled out on your unit circle. We're now going to fill the rest of these out, and we're going to do those using special triangles. So I've created two special triangles, a 45, 45, 90 triangle, which you will recognize from before, and also a 30, 60, 90 triangle, which again you will recognize before. So I am starting with 30 degrees. So I'm picking up my 30, 60, 90 triangle, and I'm putting the 30 degrees in the center, and I'm having the right angle hit the x-axis. Very important, right angle has to hit the x-axis. Okay, so we've got our 30 degrees, and this is in the x direction, it is root 3 over 2. And in the y direction, it is 1/2. My next one is 45, so I grab my 45 degree, 45, 45, 90, and I plug it in right here. And in the x direction, I have a root 2 over 2. And in the y direction, I have root 2 over 2. Next one we have is our 60 degrees. So we pull out our 60 degree triangle, which is also the 30, 60, 90 triangle. Center, x-axis, hits at our 60 degrees. X direction is 1/2. Y direction is root 3 over 2. Okay, hopefully so far so good. So we're going to go into the next quadrant. Now please remember, these triangles have to hit the x-axis at the 90-degree angle. So when we're using this side, our next one we have to do is 120. So in order for that to hit at 90 degrees, I have to use my 30, 60, 90 triangle, and there we can see that it hits perfectly. Now be very careful. This is in a negative direction. So my number here would be negative 1/2. That is in a positive direction. The next one, and I didn't write any units in for the radians and the degrees because you were to have done that, but I am going to do one more of these to make sure that everybody's got it. And we have a negative root 2 over 2 and a positive, move my finger, positive root 2 over 2. And you're going to continue going all the way around the circle and filling out those signs. Now please remember, here in the first quadrant, both x and y are positive. In the second quadrant, x is negative and y is positive. In the third quadrant, x is negative and y is also negative. And in the fourth quadrant, x is positive and y is negative. The other thing you're going to notice, which is what's going to help you remember these, is that these follow a pattern. Root 3 over 2, root 2 over 2, 1. Root 3 over 2, root 2 over 2, 1. Root 3 over 2, root 2 over 2, negative 1/2, negative root 2. These follow a pattern all the way around the circle, which makes it really easy to remember to do them and what they are. Again, that is the entire point of a unit circle, is to do nothing but make it easier for you to remember the common trigonometric rules that you have to be able to pull out of your head when you're doing problems. Okay, so these are just nothing more than how to memorize the facts, maybe a little bit easier. You will be required, once we get back to school, to answer questions like, what is the tangent of pi over 4 fairly quickly. This will allow you to do that. Here's pi over 4. The tangent is y over x, so root 2 over root 2 over root 2 over 2, which turned out to be 1. Again, a lot easier than trying to memorize all of this by yourself. Your homework for tonight, which we'll be doing next class, is to finish filling out this entire unit circle. Please make sure you're checking either online or with your friends to make sure that you filled it out correctly, because you will be allowed to use this on tests and quizzes. Thanks for joining me. Good luck on your homework. Have a great day.